All right, so chapter 36 is all about small businesses and franchises and the law that protects them. So, in order to be considered a small business, you need business name registration, occupational licensing, state tax registration, health environmental permits, zoning and building codes, and also have to consider import and export regulations. You find protection through trademarks and trade secrets, which we talked about in past chapters. Um, and most small businesses are tied in with, they get loans from banks in order to grow, just because they're smaller businesses. Sole proprietorships are where one person owns the entire business. These are what make up a lot of small businesses. You're only taxed on a personal income tax, so you're not taxed. The business isn't taxed plus you. It's just one taxation. They're very flexible, but also the poor side of it is you're burdened to all losses, and your personal assets are potentially at risk if there was a business loss. Franchises are could be distributorships, chain style, which is like a McDonald's. Distributorships would be more like I know Pella Corporation does that, so they have different franchises around that distribute their product. Manufacturing, or it could be a manufacturing arrangement. These all have federal and state regulation to protect from the control of the franchisor. And it's usually defined by a contract that includes like the payment for the franchise, the location of it, quality control, so how much the franchisor has on the franchisee, and also pricing arrangements of the products. So I think of like a lot of restaurants are set up this way. Termination of this could be whether you didn't meet quotas, certain sales. It could could be because of a breach of contract, and usually courts have to understand and balance the rights of both parties in this, so it can be kind of complicated. Then, and also is like you really have to determine between good faith and fair dealing. Next is chapter 37, which is all about the forms of partnerships. So partnerships are governed by common law, and they're also protected by the Uniform Partnership Act, which like governs the operations of partnerships. So you can have, it's included is co-owners of a business / operation. So those partners share profit losses, they have joint ownership, and they have equal right to be involved in the management of the business. It's treated as an aggregate and not a separate legal entity. So this has to do with taxes. So the taxes are passed through the entity to the owner. So also it's only taxed once and not taxed as a separate entity, which we'll talk about that in a second. So the formation of the partnerships is just called the partnership agreement, but can be known as the articles of partnership. And that usually includes like the duration of the partnership and just other things that each partner needs to have through contract. They usually have rights in management and interest, compensation, inspection of the books, and property rights. So basically anything involved with the company's operations. Their duties and liabilities, and basically just duty of care and loyalty for the business. They can be terminated or dissociation, and that could be because of an event, by choice. It could be by vote from the other partners, or it could be by bankruptcy. They may not have the right to dissociate from the partnership. And also with it, you lose, if you're terminated, you lose the rights of the management, and most of the time there's buyouts. So if one partner leaves, the rest of the partners can buy out the rest of that ownership. Next, it talks about limited liability partnerships, which is kind of a combination, and usually these are formed for like complete tax purposes. So partnership, it's basically a partnership where personal liability is avoided. So if there's a loss, they can't go after your personal assets, which is very nice for a lot of people, and it's just a higher protection. Limited partnerships include, so it's basically just limits some of the partners or the owners, So it includes like one general partner and one or more limited partner, where the general partner is liable to creditors while limited partners are only liable to what they contribute to the company. So that's usually like an investment. They're only liable to the amount they put in. Then another one is limited liability limited partnerships, which is kind of a combination. So basically, it's just general and limited partners have the same liability, and that liability is limited to the amount of investment, like I said on the last one. But that's just where general and limited partners have the same liability.